So there's a group of kickers on kind of a field trip during a kicking camp, and they're going to see these geysers out at this state park, and they get too close to the geyser that's really hot water, and the tour guide tells them, "Hey, can you please move a touch back?"
That's so not funny.
What we do here is go back.
It's a kicker joke.
Yeah, but it's still not funny.
All right. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Between the Uprights, powered by Trinity Kicking. For all you guys who are watching the first preseason game of the season, it's got to get you amped to know that it is now football season, and I couldn't be more excited. We got so many guys that we have such high expectations, and we expect this to be such a big year for you guys out there. For all you guys who've been working your tails off in this off season, this is going to be a phenomenal year. And for all you guys who haven't been working this off season, we will pray for you. So, what's up, Casey? How have you been?
You know,
We missed you on the last one. Everyone said they hated it because you weren't in there.
I'm sure it was really entertaining. Actually, I saw it, and it actually was really entertaining. I enjoyed a few laughs at your presentation last week.
You didn't like my garment that I wore?
Hey, I mean, if I hadn't seen it before, it wouldn't be as funny. But I have seen you in it before. But, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm better now. I was sick last week, so that was no fun. But I'm glad you were able to carry on the show without me.
Yeah, it was a good one. I think it was probably the most important video we could have come out with. So if you guys haven't had a chance to look at it, I think we're posting it. I'll have to talk to my editing team. I think we're posting it this coming week onto YouTube, so make sure you're looking out. Probably going to be titled something like The Science of Kicking. For those guys who missed that, we talked about the equations and the pure actual science of kicking and your technique, and why it is what we tell you on here is so important, and the facts that go behind it, just so you guys understand that we're not just feeding you what we believe in our technique and we have this secret weapon. We're completely science-based, and we have those equations to back up everything we say. So make sure you guys go onto our YouTube and check that out. I know they posted a recent Between the Upright today. I know they've been posting about 5 or 6 videos the past 3 days. So a whole bunch of new content out there on the Trinity Kicking YouTube page. So Casey, let's start with questions. I just want to roll into this thing.
All right, cool. We do have a couple that came in earlier, so I'm going to hit those, and we do have a couple coming in now as well. So we actually have, the first one is from Noah Odell. He says, what are good drills to help your snapper and holder?
Yeah, so this is an excellent question. We've basically gone probably the whole off season with actually without actually working with our whole unit as far as a snap, hold, kick. And so the only thing you can really do to help those guys is get reps with them. So usually this means staying after practice on 2-a-days, making sure that you guys are all synced up in your rhythm so that you know when to take off. It gets really confusing on when you should take off at your ball. We usually like to say roughly once that ball snaps, say 1 Mississippi, attack that ball. And then we take it a step further. Instead of actually saying 1 Mississippi out loud, you should vocally say keep your head down. And that will help you, 1, keep your head down, make sure you don't mess up any easy mistakes. But 2, it gives you that split second for your holder to kind of catch that ball. And then as you start approaching, they are then putting that ball down and spinning those laces out of the way. So the best thing you can do is just get them to take those reps with you, which usually is going to be either early, right before practice, or after practice. But if they're refusing to work, you've got to grab them by that face mask and say, look, you've got to get this work in. It's going to be roughly 50% of your team's points on the season, 40% of your team's points on the season, and one mess up in their job and you don't really stand a chance. So make sure you're making sure those guys are working as hard as you're working.
All right, awesome. And the next question is from Sam the Man _38.
Sam the Man.
He says, "Can you do a camp in the West next year?"
We will love to get to the West. We've been wanting to get to that West Coast and out in Nevada and out in Utah for the past year. We just got to get enough guys in your town, and we will come to you. Depending on where you are, usually if we can get 5 guys together, we'll come out there for 3 days and work with you guys for a camp that usually most camps cost for 1 day. We'll go out there for 3 days with you guys. So get some guys together, DM me, and let's get rolling.
Awesome. I know that you and all of your coaches actually are ready to up and hit the road as soon as possible.
We are ready.
All right.
As soon as
So
December hits.
the next question is from Ryan Cadez. Says, "How many steps for a kickoff for a high school freshman?"
Yeah, so we talked about this in our last video, in the last episode, and actually the episode before that as well. But all you got to do when you're first trying to figure out what your steps are, practice field goal steps, your 3-step approach, 4-step for some of you other guys, and then do that twice. So if we're a 3-and-2 guy, which 80% of you guys are, we're going to go 3-2, 3-2, and that's where you take your kickoff steps from. Again, if you feel too jammed, go ahead and take those steps 3 times, and that should give you enough room to get into that nice little rhythm that makes you feel a little bit more confident when attacking that ball. Remember, the longer you have to run at that ball, the more mistakes you could make. So keep it short, keep it compact.
All right, awesome. We have Drew's Inc. 3613 saying, "How should I break in a ball?"
How should you break in a ball? Honestly, you really don't want to break in a ball. I know you hear guys say it all the time that, oh, you want used footballs. And the truth is, the sturdier your ball is, the less broken in it is, the easier it is to make that ball compact because that leather is so tight. It's easy for that ball to compress and really explode off your foot. Now, it's not going to feel the best coming off your foot being strong and hard, but what's really going to help you is to just brand new ball, brand new cleats. Man, that ball's going to explode off your foot. Even if it feels like a rock coming off your ball, you're going to look up if you're a punter, or you're going to look at the uprights, top of the uprights if you're a kicker, and that ball's just going to jump off of your foot. So, honestly, if you really do want to break it in, kick it. Kick it 100 times a day, 5 days a week, like we always say. That ball will get broken in pretty quickly. I know some of the other methods, if you are in a hurry to break it in, people will put it in dryers and stuff like that. I highly recommend that you do not put it in your dryer at your house. If there's like a commercial dryer at your school or something, you maybe be able to throw it in there wrapped in some towels or something. That'll kind of knock it around, break that in. Otherwise, just that kind of break in, I don't know what you call it, like a rub on it, that kind of helps it a little bit. But honestly, just old fashioned, just get out there and kick it as many times as possible.
All right, awesome. Next question is from Miguel.Alvarado88. Says,
What's up, Miguel?
"What are some good recovery methods?"
Yeah, so this is big for you guys who are going into fall camp. I know most of you college guys, you D1 guys are reporting either today or yesterday or tomorrow. And so this is vital for you to be able to recover and recover quickly. When we're talking about fall camp or we're talking about 2 days, we're kicking a ton. We are running a ton. We are lifting a lot. And they really are trying to break you as coaches. They want to break you. And that really means putting you into the ground. And so your energy levels are low, your muscles are sore, and your leg speed is shot. The best thing you can learn to do is take ice baths, real ice baths. That doesn't mean just take a cold shower. I mean, fill up your tub with ice and water, get it to around 45 degrees, and just lay in it for around 10 to 12 minutes. If you can manage to do that, man, your recovery time, accelerates. Your legs will be back at like 80% the next day. It's amazing and staggering how helpful it is. Again, it's going to be the most painful thing in your entire life. It's literally the most horrible thing that you could ever imagine, but it will make you feel so much better if you can just endure that first 2.5 minutes. Your body will go numb and you'll be fine. So do your research, talk to your physician or your team doctor, whoever, excuse me, to make sure that that they have those ice baths ready for you guys, and I highly suggest using those. So, you got anything else for me, Casey?
Yeah, we do just have a couple of comments. Again, for those of you who are just joining in, if you've got any questions, Coach Connor's always going to love to answer anything you can throw at him.
Baby. Let's answer your questions.
So shoot anything into the comments, and we'll make sure and get to your questions. We do have a comment from Drew's Inc. 3613 says, do a camp in New Jersey. There are no coaches here.
Dude, I would love to get to New Jersey, even though you guys are so spoiled with all of your sports teams. It's unbelievable. But we would love to get to New Jersey. We've been trying to scout out some places in Newark. And so if you know of a field we could get to, I know we've had so many guys reach out to us over there asking us to do camps over there. So if you can lock us into a field where your coaches will let us onto your field, man, we would love to get up there in the springtime. Probably not in the winter because all you guys have is like 12, 19 inches of snow. I don't know if we can kick in that. I'm from the south, man, so we can try and get there in the spring once you guys thaw out. What else you got for me, Casey?
All right,
DM me
there is kicking_crow13. This is in all capital letters, so you know there's a little bit more than enthusiasm here.
Well, I want
Says,
you to read it like it is.
Oh man,
you have to read exactly how Crow.
I don't know how he
Crow
sounds.
has a ton of energy, so.
Okay, well then I imagine it would go something like, Coach, have you seen the Nike Phantom Vision cleats? Oh my gosh. Because there's an OMG after it. So
Let's ask this.
Wait, how'd I do? Is that okay?
I think you did really good. You
okay,
nailed
cool.
It. Crow can give you his opinion on how you asked the question for him.
But he also put like some heart eyes emojis, so like
he's in love with them.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him. I know he had sent me a picture of some of his cleats before, so I'm guessing he went with the Nikes. But for all you guys, I was an Adidas guy. The school I went to ended up being an Adidas school as well. So I want to hear what you guys say about Nike versus Adidas cleats. And for you really, really weird guys, like you left-footed guys, let us know what you think about the Under Armour cleats, I guess. Not that anybody cares, or even New Balance. I know somebody's wearing New Balances.
No.
My dad wears New Balances, so what does that say about it? But I haven't. But I absolutely love the cleats that Nike comes out with. I was a big fan of the Adidas F50s when those lines were out. The problem is a lot of those cleats have really kind of gone to cater soccer because they're soccer cleats, so it makes sense. But anything with that ankle wrap on there, I'm not a big fan of, or anything with that texture on the top, like a lot of the Predators do on the Adidas now. I'm not a huge fan of. The smallest amount of additives you can have, the better. I just want lightweight cleats. So I want to hear what you guys think about the Nike versus Adidas versus whoever else.
All right, well, on that, kicking_crow13 actually says, go watch my YouTube video for best cleats for football. He did Adidas versus some Nikes.
Yeah, thanks, Crow. You guys should probably really check that out. Peep that real quick.
Iceberg13_ says Nike is life.
Nike is life.
And we're actually, I don't even remember who I was talking to. I think it might have been today at work. Someone actually said something about Nike versus Adidas, and I instantly thought about you and was like, no, he always went Adidas. All right, there is a couple more questions coming in. The.5.0 says, what do kickers/punters want to see in a long snapper?
Man,
no laces?
Honestly, we just want you to be as consistent as possible. Let us do the hard work. You just get that ball to us so that we can make our job easier. I know a lot of us, punters especially, man, we're such crybabies. We want that ball right on that hip or whatever. For me, I just wanted it on my body. I just wanted to be able to catch it and just make sure my hands were clean, where I could catch it clean and get that ball set. We just want consistency. We want to be able to know where to kind of expect the ball. So if it's easier for you to hit their chest, just let your punter know, like, hey, I'm not going to put it on your hip. You're going to have to get it in the set spot. I'm just going to try and hit your chest so I don't throw one over your head or bounce one to you. I've went through somewhere around like 15 or 16 snappers between high school and college. I mean, a staggering number. It's insane how many snappers I had. So you can imagine that my balls were all over the place. As far as field goal kickers, it's really what the holder prefers. A secret that we learned in college was to make sure you guys get laces every time. We would tell the snapper, just snap the same ball every single time. And if we keep getting laces on the kicker side, our holder would either move forward a few inches or backwards a few inches. And so when a rotation's spinning that fast, that small minute change will make sure that those laces are out every single time. So as a snapper, if you keep seeing that those, you're giving the kicker laces, I would just tell the snapper, like, hey, back up 3 inches or 4 inches, or scoot up 3 or 4 inches. It's always better to scoot back a little bit than it is to scoot forward, depending on your kicker. But that's what I would recommend. Make sure you adjust that holder so that your snaps look perfect every time. It'll save your get-off time a lot more.
All right, awesome.
Love having a snapper in the group, though.
Josue Lopez _ says, do you think the icing the kicker technique
I just
works?
want you guys to know that Casey does this every time you guys ask a question.
No,
So-
he put quotes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so you just, all right.
Uh-huh.
Do I think icing the kicker works? It does if that's what you believe. So as a kicker, if somebody goes to ice you and it gets in your head, then absolutely. For me, I prefer to get iced because it would help me think about it a little bit more. It would help me kind of take a couple more practice swings. It's always a little bit easier to take some practice swings once you're out on the field than it is to take them from the sideline and kind of run out there. But in the end, man, nothing really matters. The ball's going to be where it needs to be. You just make sure you follow your technique, hit your plant spot, follow through good, and the ball's going to go through. The only time it can really affect you is if they call it super late and you go to kick and you see the referees like running at you, blowing the whistle, and you end up shanking the kick because you don't take it serious because they're blowing the whistle or whatever the case is. And then that can sometimes get in your head like, man, I just shanked that ball. But the truth is, don't let it get to you. Just kind of move on. If you trust in your technique and you're so focused on hitting all of those points in your technique, you're not even going to know that anything else is going on or anything is weird. So it only depends on what the kicker who's being iced believes. So there you go.
All right. Well,
Super
we just
lame
have
answer,
we just have a couple more comments on that Adidas versus Nikes. There's Drew's Inc. 3613, Adidas all the way.
Adidas.
Ian _Berryman says Adidas.
Adidas. A lot of Adidas followers. You better watch out.
Let's see.
I think
RC.
I'm actually rocking the Nike Mercurials right now. So.
Well, RCLHN says barefoot kicking.
Barefoot kicking. Where's he from? Ask him where he's from because he's probably from like Nebraska or Montana or something.
You're asking him where he's from, now, right?
Well, comment below.
It's kind of how live works.
Oh yeah. Just let me know where
CO _ BJ says, I'm left-footed but never wore the Under Armours. Gotta try it.
Lefties are so weird. You guys are a whole nother breed, man. Speaking of barefoot kicking, I can never barefoot kick because I have hobbit feet, so put that out there for you guys.
Ask him about his hobbit feet one day. If you ever
super self-conscious.
If you ever get a session in with him and you catch him while he's changing in from his street shoes to his cleats, ask him about his hobbit feet, please, and watch how red he turns. Anyways,
and it's not
kicking.
bottle.
Speaking of Cholula, who was that?
How are we not sponsored by Cholula?
Kicking _ Crow 13 says Cholula hot sauce.
He had already said that.
Yeah, it was already in.
Cholula shout out every single time, man. We have to get sponsored by Cholula at some point. We gotta be the only kicking camp that's sponsored.
Crow's just super active. I'm just seeing like all of these comments. He's actually trying to, I think, mercurial. He's like making fun of the way you said it. I think it's mercurials.
Look, man, I'm from South Louisiana. We call them mercurials.
Whatever.
Mercurials.
Anyways, he actually, before then, what I was trying to get to, says, hey, coach, when he goes off to college, he wants to start. Oh, man, okay. I'm just going to, I really do try and interpret what you guys say when you get it wrong, but I'm not sure where this one's going, so I'm just going to read it. It says, hey, coach, when I go off to college, I want to start better, more often vlogs for kicking.
Okay.
Translate that one. I'd love to film a session training with you to show the best in the business.
I appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, we would love to be in one of your videos, only if you come here and do a live feed with us and co-host with me and Casey. So we would love to have you over here and do that as well.
All right. Let's see. Oh, he did answer that. RCLHN said
Yes.
New Jersey.
New Jersey? Barefoot New Jersey? Oh, man. Late in the season, you guys are like snow blowing like lines so you can see. That's insane.
All right. Well,
I hope he has hobbit feet to warm him up, man.
he's gonna need a little more than Hobbit feet. The.5.0 says, hit me up if you need a snapper. I'd love to snap at one of your camps.
That sounds awesome, man. We'd love to have a snapper out there. So, if I'm sorry if we have more questions, but
No,
I
you're
wanted
good.
to stop and say something real quick. The season's here now. The first NFL game was played today, even though it's preseason. I know,
Yeah.
and I'm sure it was probably a pretty boring game. Two lame teams, but anyways, now's the time where you have to realize that there's no longer trying to change your technique. Wherever you are in your technique right now, you just need to roll with this season. If you're trying to make changes this late, like 2 weeks out of your season, you're going to have some major issues. Now, I know a lot of you guys don't start for another month or so. You can still make a pretty good amount of changes as long as you're kicking, up to 100 balls a day, like we ask of you. But really, you really don't want to mess with your muscle memory at this point. Your best bet is to try and eliminate as many problems that will come up and just try and get through the season with as best of stats as you can, and then just work harder next off season. But really, your time is starting to kind of come up. So for us kickers, we have got to make sure that our plant is wide, we are not crunching, our head is staying down, and we are following through up to our face perfectly straight. Follow through is everything. We can have some pretty rough kicks, but if we follow through to our face with our foot, and I mean get it up to your face, you are going to give yourself a chance. You're not going to have probably the distance that you would want or maybe the height that you would want, but if you start making bad kicks, man, your stats go from around 80%, 85%, and now you're at that 95%, that D1 level percentage that you're shooting for. Same thing on kickoffs. For us punters, you've got to make sure you are dropping the ball flat, straight, and low. If we can do that, and with our compact steps, taking 2 small equal-sized steps, we won't pass that ball up, we won't jam ourselves, and the lower that ball is, the sooner our foot's going to hit that ball, so that means it's less time for that ball to fall, which means it's less time for that ball to turn or that nose to dive on us. A lot of us have inconsistent drops where that nose tends to dive on us, but if it's dropped really low, it's only going to turn X amount instead of all the way down. So make sure we are dropping that ball as low as possible. Almost think about trying to punt it out of your hand. So on windy days or rainy days, it's not going to affect your drop at all. It's going to be consistent. Plus, you get the added benefit of more power and more compression because your leg is at its fastest point at the lowest point. So as your leg starts coming up, it's slowing down until it gets to its top climax, and then it completely stops and then comes back down. So the lower your ball is, the more compression you're going to have on that ball. So again, make sure you are eliminating as many mistake opportunities as possible. We already talked about it earlier in the video about our kickoffs. Don't make your approach too long because it'll tend to make you overstride. You'll end up jumping at your ball, lunging, missing your plant, having all these issues. So eliminate things where you can. It's time to simplify our kicks. And so when we're in the off season, we kind of tend to kind of complicate everything because we're breaking it down. We're kind of scraping as much bad out of it as we can, changing up our technique, altering stuff from our muscle memory. And so now it's time to simplify it, make it as easy as possible. What I recommend you guys do when you're at practice is the first, 75% of your practice, focus on your technique, focus on the little things, do your drill work, your no steps, your one steps, your partner passes for you punters. And then on that last 25% of your practice, stop thinking about everything. Just kick, just punt, just kick off, and just kind of go in it without thinking about it, because in a game scenario, you don't have time to think about your technique. Your brain, because of all that adrenaline pumping through your body, usually makes your brain go blank anyways. So learn to kick without trying to think about everything. Just kind of go through your rhythm and hit a good ball. You're going to see that a lot of your balls go much further, much higher, much more powerful kicks than what you have been when you were thinking about everything, because you're letting your body do its own thing. Learn to relax. Enjoy these moments. There's nothing like high school football. You get to college ball and there's 100,000 fans and it's great. But in high school, man, everyone in those stands are your friends or your families or your teachers, people you know, people you get to see on a daily basis. And they're people who actually love you as a person. And so there's nothing like it. Enjoy the band playing. Enjoy everything of your surroundings. Enjoy your teammates. You only have a limited time. So enjoy the moment. Relax. Remember to have fun. And no matter what, man, if you can eliminate those big things, you're going to have a big season. So that's awesome. We got any questions or anything, Casey?
Right. We actually, we did have one come up from Miguel.Alvarado, 88, says, how can I kick a pop-up?
How can you kick a pop-up? So you're going to have to kind of talk or explain that a little bit more. I assume you're talking about onside kicks, where you blast it into the ground and it pops up. That's definitely something you were going to want to work on. There's really two ways to do it. One, you have that ball kind of straight up or even slightly tilted forward, and you're going to just kind of step beyond it and kick straight down into the ground, right on the top of that ball. So right here, we're just hammering that ball down at an angle so that we are here with it, and that force into the ground, again, instead of you compressing the ball with your foot, it's going to compress into the ground, and that's where that ball explodes up. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it, which is the way I much prefer because it's a lot more consistent and it's easier to kind of game plan, is when it's sitting on its tee, go ahead and lean it back heavy. And what you're going to do is you're going to hit it with your toes like a straight-on kicker. You're going to lock out your ankle like an L shape. This is going to be the only time you guys hear me say lock out your ankle like an L shape. Everything else, I'm telling you guys to lock everything straight. But with those toes and that L-shaped leg, you are going to hammer that ball up in an upward direction on the front half of that ball, that nose. You're going to hammer that up. What that does is that ball will take off rolling very, very quickly. A lot of rotations. It will hug the ground, and it will then pop up late. So right before it hopefully gets around the bottom of those numbers, that ball is going to pop up, and that gives your opportunity for your team a perfect chance right along that sideline to jump up and get it. But basically what an onside kick return or a hands team is taught to do is when a ball is coming in hard, they are told if it's coming in too hot to let it go, let the next guy get it. So that quick rotation, you don't have to worry about somebody trying to jump on it, because if they do, it's going to explode off of their chest pads and shoot back to your team. So they're always told to let it go, so it's going to go late, and as soon as it starts to slow down, that guy gets ready and broken down to catch that ball. That's when it pops over their head. So that's two different ways to hit that onside. Again, either nose slightly tilted forward or straight up and down and hammering down on it with our toes after we step past the ball and kind of hit it behind us down into the ground. That will compress it, get that immediate one bounce pop. Again, a lot of the rules changed in a lot of your high school states where that one pop, they can still fair catch it even though it hit the ground. So check your rules before you work on that one. That's why we moved to the other one where we have it tilted, hammer up on that nose with that locked out ankle, hitting with our toes. It'll hug the ground, pop late, give your teammates a great chance for it. So two different ways to kick onsides there for you.
All right, awesome. And Miguel, if that wasn't your question by saying a pop-up, just shoot us a bit more of an explanation. I know Coach will get to that as well. So underscore JLM23 says...
I don't know who that is. He might be a first-time viewer, so we're super excited to see you. Maybe he has been in here. Does that sound familiar? I don't know.
I mean, he could have been watching and just never commented, but
Okay.
now you've called him out.
So welcome to Between the Uprights, and guess what? When we post this on YouTube, we put your little name right there. You gain buku followers. And for you people who don't know what buku means, that just means a lot. It's French.
And the Cajun comes out.
There you go.
Anyways, underscore JLM23 says, how can I improve my field goal accuracy?
Perfect. That is a fantastic question because that's all we need to care about as kickers. So 2 things. Three things, I guess. One, you are going to want to plant a little bit wider. This is going to lock out your leg. It'll lock out your knee and your ankle before, during, and after contact. That makes our leg consistent. And again, check our last video, the science behind kicking. We kind of explain everything of how to scientifically get more accurate. But basically, if we lock out that leg every single kick, it's consistent. Whereas if we kick with a bent knee, sometimes our leg is this short, sometimes it's that short, sometimes it's that short, sometimes it's fully locked out. If it's locked out, it's consistent every single time, which gets you a more consistent surface, flat, instead of a bunch of bends. So first thing is lock out your ankle and your knee before, during, and after contact. So that's 1. 2, what's going to help do that is taking that wide plant. 3 is preventing yourself from crunching. Okay, we talk about follow through is the most important thing. Our goal is to get our foot to our face on our follow through. I should not be able to tell whether or not you just punted a ball or kicked a field goal if I just took a picture of you of your follow through. That's how high and pointed I want your foot and ankle. So in order to do that, we have to make sure we are not crunching into our kicks. And again, I ask you guys to do this every single time we bring this up. If you crunch even slightly, and you could do this wherever you are now, if you crunch even the slightest bit, your body prevents your leg from coming up any higher than your waist. Any higher than your waist. Which means if you're kicking in a game with all that force, that leg has to go somewhere. It usually ends up way across your body. Again, a lot of inaccuracies come from there. So the best thing to say is follow through all the way up to your face. You can't follow through without crunching. You can't get rid of that crunch unless your plant is wide and your leg is locked out. Your leg can't lock out unless your steps are compact and you hit that wide plant. So all that stuff takes into a part of it, but the biggest thing is focus on your follow through. So when we do post this, you're going to want to watch that 3 or 4 times to get that explanation. It's a lot of difficult stuff that we just kind of cover, or at least it sounds more difficult than it is. But I promise you, if you watch that scientific video that we posted last week, it will help you tremendously on your accuracy. So good luck, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome to Between the Uprights.
And of course, watching really any of your posts or any of your YouTube, videos, anything like that, there's always something to be learned. So definitely check all of those out. And I think coming in actually right before you got to answer that question was
Beat me to it?
Crow.
Oh, Crow.
Hello.
On it.
He says consistency drills for punting other than partner passing and drops. So summarized everything that you just said.
Perfect. You know what it is? It's the Cholula talking. If you're a Cholula fan, you just kick better.
Wow.
Do they have Cholula up north? That's what I want to know. Hey, for you New Jersey guys that are still in this room, let me know if you guys have Cholula up there. If not, we'll ship you some.
All right. Well, let's see. Nate.Hillenberg says, does stretching every night make a difference?
It definitely does. You're always going to want to be more flexible. But the truth is, when you start looking at how often you stretch with your team, you're going to stretch in the morning when you go to lift weights. You're going to stretch when you guys go to run your sprint. When you go to practice, before practice, you stretch. You kick a bunch, which is also stretching those muscles. You're going to stretch plenty as a kicker and a punter, especially if you're kicking the amount that us Trinity guys do, 100 balls a day. You're going to get very, very flexible very fast. But it definitely can hurt. What a lot of guys I know work on is they make sure that they stretch once they get home. If they take a shower in that hot bath and their muscles are still loose, they'll go ahead and get a light stretch kind of right before bed. You definitely don't want to start stretching with your muscles cold, but it definitely cannot hurt to get extra stretching in.
All right, awesome. And actually, I just realized, thank you for catching that, Crow. I actually misread what he was saying, but he turned out to actually answer a question, which is really funny to me. But he was asking, are there consistency drills for punting other than partner passing and drops?
Honestly, man, we're not big fans of drop drills. If you're going to drop it, you might as well kick it. One-step punts are probably the best thing to let you know what your drop looks like.
Partner passes fix absolutely everything. It focuses on your timing, it focuses on your drop, it focuses on your contact, it focuses on a lot of things. But when we go to one steps from that partner pass and take true one steps, that means no jab one step. It's not about how far you can hit a one step. But if you do true one steps where the ball's already out there and you just go step, kick, it will really let you know what your drop is doing. If there's the slightest mistake in your drop, it's going to show up on a one step. That ball is either going to launch to the right, to the sideline, or it's going to go straight up, or it's going to go end over end. So it'll let you know that, one, you're overstriding if that second step is too big, and two, if that drop has any flaws in it, it will show up on those one steps. So do the one steps, you'll be a lot more consistent because it'll let you realize where those issues are coming from so that you can address them. So great question, Crow.
All right, and I knew I had missed one a little bit further up, but Joseph _Sansum 04 says, does end over end matter a lot?
So I assume you're a kicker. It absolutely does. If you have any type of rotation or spiral on that ball, you are mishitting it. And most of the time, it means that ankle is popping up. If that ankle is popping up, it means you're jamming yourself. If you're jamming yourself, it means you're missing your plant. So it's not just good enough to say, oh, my toe must be popping up. You have to work it backwards to see what's actually causing that toe to pop up. But again, if this is our football here and our foot is not at that straight line crossing that ball and it starts popping here, we end up catching the outside of the ball instead of behind the ball. And so if it starts hitting the outside of that ball, it starts developing that spin, or that rotation becomes kind of a helicopter or a weird, ugly rotation. And so you're losing power, you're losing distance, but it's also letting you know that you're losing compression, which is where accuracy comes from, which is where your power really comes from. So all of those things, but most importantly, you're losing your consistency factor. And a lot of times you're not going to know, man, that ball hooked way left because X, Y, and Z. You're not going to be able to play that hook like you would with a soccer ball. Your goal has got to be to hit a ball perfectly straight. That goes for kickoffs and that goes for field goals. You cannot have any rotation, sideways rotation at all. What your ultimate goal is to hear a deep sounding thud, not a slap, a thud, and you want a slow rotating ball. The slower that ball is rotating, the more compression you're getting into it, the more that ball is going to carry. If you're getting a lot of fast rotation, it means you're snapping your knee or you're getting too low on the ball. So make sure you're compressing that ball so we get that clean, straight, slow rotation on it.
All right, awesome.
Perfect.
Well, Obey_Billy73 says, hey, Coach, I just wanted to
Billy?
thank you and Coach Joey for all of the tips because I've been progressing so much and just wanted to thank you so much. Really, I'm just so grateful for everything.
You're the man, Billy. For you guys who don't know Billy, go ahead and follow him. He is an unbelievable kid. Truly just decided I'm just going to outwork everyone. And his progression in the past 3, 4, 5 months has been unbelievable just because he said, look, man, I'm just going all in. He's working, he's got a job, he goes to school, he has all these things that most of us kickers use as excuses or distractions of why we can't go out and kick, and he just finds time to go out there and work. And so I really expect big things for you, Billy. It's going to be a great season. Thanks for chiming in as always. You're one of our awesome followers, and working with you has been such a pleasure. So I'm so glad to have you in our Trinity Kicking family for sure.
All right, awesome. Kieran.Herman says, I realized when I kick, I don't extend my leg out all the way. Should I be worried about that or try to fix that? Will it affect my distance and accuracy in a positive way?
Yeah, so it'll definitely fix your distance and accuracy. Not fix it, it will improve it rather. I don't know what your distance and your accuracy is right now. But it goes back to the same thing. If our leg has been at contact, if our leg is more tired than others, sometimes it's been at 10 degrees, sometimes it's been at 15 degrees, sometimes it's been at 12.5 degrees. And so as our leg speed changes, as we get more tired into fall camp or halfway through the season, our accuracy is going to start shooting all over the place. It's just going to go lower and lower and lower. So we have to make sure that we're locking out that leg. It'll help you a lot. It'll help you with your follow through. So the big thing is make sure that you are planning wide. That's the hardest thing for us guys. We tend to jump at our ball. We tend to lunge at it. And a lot of that comes because we're so focused on the sweet spot of that football, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. But the problem is when we're so focused on that sweet spot, our brain tells our body that our goal is to get as close to that sweet spot as possible, when in all actuality, our goal is to get to that plant spot and then to hit that sweet spot with our leg. So our leg fully extended is never going to change in how long it is. I mean, I guess if we grow over time, but you're talking about such small amounts. So if our leg is this long, then it's going to change if we bend it or bend that knee. So if it's the same every single time, then if we hit that same plant spot, we'll have to hit a perfect ball every single time. It's science. If everything's consistent every single time, you're going to get the same outcome, unless obviously there's a 30-mile-an-hour wind or something coming through. So I would absolutely work on that. Definitely watch our other videos on YouTube. There's a ton of talks about of how to lock out that leg, how to become more consistent, how important the plant spot is, the balance arm, the core, the strength, the leaning, all of that. So definitely watch those YouTube videos.
All right, awesome. Well, Braden, probably _ Braden,
said, Braden. Always chiming in on the between the uprights.
Said, I broke my finger a few days ago and they wouldn't let me dress to practice at all. Of course, it was the only day of the week we do kickoffs. He got my papers so I can kick now. It killed me to not kick. And he added, also made a few 43s in our first full padded practice today in front of some coaches.
That's big time. For you guys who have kicked in seasons before, you know how different it is and how it takes time to get used to kicking with pads and a helmet and all that. Especially having those shoulder pads, and you're not used to that discomfort and your arms going from here to here now. A lot of people don't understand that switch. So that is fantastic when you're jumping into it and you hit some kicks like that at that level in front of those types of coaches, and most importantly, your team, man. It gives those guys a ton of courage and excitement that you're going to be the guy. So,
with a broken finger.
With a broken finger. So only, how many do we have? 20 phalanges? Is that what they're called? Phalanges?
I don't know. I'm not a biologist.
Well, I'm not either, but I think they're phalanges.
Aren't you the physicist?
What does that have to do with phalangelos?
What?
Michael Phalangelo?
Okay, on that note, we are going to go ahead and end today's session because I think Coach is getting a little bit delirious.
I gotta get my fidget spinner real quick.
Because you're an adult. On that note, thank you to all of you guys who have chimed in, sent us some questions, some comments. Of course, we always love to hear from you guys, even if it's just Nike versus Adidas or barefoot kicking, whatever it might be.
Comment below, Nike or Adidas.
And probably _ Braden actually throws in, the ironic part is the kicker tried to catch a football and broke his finger. Man. And he says everyone's making fun of him now. Yeah, I would too. I absolutely would be making fun of you. Man.
And this comes on the day I posted our last post on Instagram was a punter catching a one-handed Odell snap that jumped over his head. So,
man. See, and that's one thing that, like, I will always give, Coach Connor a hard time about anytime we hit the field together. And if, he's still warming up, or I'll try and just, catch him, off guard and just throw a ball, at him without any warning just to see if he'll catch it. Because for the longest time, I always got, wear your hands. You got to have hands. So if you don't have hands as a kicker, not sure what you're doing. But probably _ Braden, good luck with healing that broken little finger. Captain Hook over there, this broken finger. Anyways, that is going to be it for this episode of Between the Uprights. Again, if you guys have any questions, of course, just DM them to Coach Connor. I know he'll be more than happy to answer anything you've got, unless you've got any closing remarks. I know you always do.
Remarks. So, guys, like we said, tonight was the first opening game to the NFL. Football season is here. It's time to lock in, go all out. Again, don't focus so much every single day about trying to fix your technique completely. Wherever you're at right now, you kind of just got to roll with it through the season until you can make those drastic changes in the off season. So there's no need to make drastic things. Just make sure you're eliminating the small things and being as consistent as you possibly can with the current technique that you have. That's all I got, Casey.
All right. Well, on that, we will see you guys next week.
Night, boys.